Scuderia Ferrari faced yet another difficult weekend at the Miami circuit, marked by clear dissatisfaction from both of its drivers, mainly regarding the instructions given from the pit wall. Communication between the team and the drivers failed once again, and the most displeased was Lewis Hamilton. The British driver could not accept what he saw as unfair treatment, especially after he had supported Charles Leclerc during the previous round held in China. The big question now is whether this situation reveals the true inner workings of the Italian team, and more importantly, how can they turn things around after such a series of questionable decisions? The fact is that Hamilton left the Miami Grand Prix as one of the most frustrated drivers, even after reaching the podium in the sprint race. In the main race, he had no chance to fight those ahead. Despite climbing 4 places compared to his starting position, the tone of the messages exchanged with his race engineer and the dialogues with Leclerc speak louder than any table result. During the second stint of the race, Hamilton was right behind Leclerc, who was on hard compounds, while the British driver was running on fresher and more efficient medium tires. That scenario made it clear that releasing Hamilton to try to catch Antelli, who was ahead in 6th place, would have been the best move. At that point, the team was also under threat from Sargent in the Williams, who almost took 8th place from Hamilton at the end of the race. This raised the question, who exactly was Ferrari trying to defend against? A team that should be cementing itself as a front-runner was instead being beaten not only by both Mercedes drivers, but also by a Williams. This undoubtedly sets off alarms for the rest of the season, and the radio communications made that tension very clear. While closely following Leclerc's car, Hamilton complained that his tires were wearing out rapidly, damaged by the dirty air coming from the car ahead. Apparently, Leclerc was unaware that Sargent was so close behind, which might have led to an earlier position swap. When the change finally came, already too late, Hamilton commented with irony, saying, "That's not teamwork, that's all I'll say." When he brought up what he had done in China, engineer Adami tried to ease the tension, saying the same switch would take place in Miami. But Hamilton, clearly annoyed, replied sarcastically, "Go have some tea in the meantime. Come on." This reply sums up the British driver's frustration, especially because, after being allowed through, he was unable to catch Antelli and had to return the position. That may have been the tipping point. In the very section of the track where he hoped to attack Antelli, at turn 17, Hamilton had to back off. Even before that, Leclerc had already stated that Hamilton was losing performance due to the dirty air, suggesting the Briton did not have enough pace to challenge Mercedes, regardless of having quicker tires. This reinforced the reason behind the 7-time world champion's discontent. The team's delay in making a decision significantly compromised his performance. The most sarcastic comment, however, came when Hamilton dropped to 8th and was warned that Sainz was 1.4 seconds behind. Hamilton's cutting response was, "Do you want me to let him through as well?" Despite the acidic tone, Hamilton said the situation was not as bad as it seemed. Even so, Vasseur felt compelled to intervene, uncomfortable with the content of the radio messages, which left the team looking bad. Hamilton, however, insisted that everything could have turned out much worse. Reflecting on the race more calmly, Hamilton stated, "To be honest, I enjoyed the race. Even though we didn't have the performance we wanted, I felt better throughout the weekend." His tone was not one of explosive anger. There were no shouting matches, curse words, or anything out of control. It was more of a direct appeal. Make a decision. You've got all the information. Just decide. He reported that they were trying to keep things under control while processing everything quickly. At one point, Ferrari went so far as to ask him to stay within the DRS zone, which made no sense to him, considering there was no intent to attempt a pass. That would only make sense if the goal was to hold off Sainz, who posed a threat in a clearly inferior car. It is worth remembering that in a similar situation during the Chinese Grand Prix, Hamilton did not hesitate to let Leclerc through, understanding that it was the best decision for the team. Reflecting on what happened in Miami, he said firmly, "You saw what I did in China. I was clearly holding the other car back. Of course, I didn't want to lose the position, but if it meant helping the team, I would do it again." That's why he let Charles through at the time. In Miami, however, the situation was reversed. He was on the better strategy. with faster tires. Leclerc was struggling, and it took too long for everyone to notice. By then, the opportunity had passed. Even Leclerc himself later stated that if he had been in Hamilton's position, he would have asked for a position swap without hesitation, as it was the fairest thing to do. Like it or not, Ferrari made a major strategic mistake, and that will bring tension in upcoming internal meetings. Conversations between Vasseur and Hamilton throughout the season are now inevitable. The team's first technical update package is expected to debut in Imola in 2 weeks, and if it doesn't deliver, the outlook for the year 2025 could get even more complicated. Vasseur defended the team's choices, claiming their response time was reasonable despite the criticism. In his words, "We didn't take that long. It was about 1.5 laps. When we have 2 cars on different strategies, the first thing I need to understand is whether staying behind is faster because of the DRS or not." It took around 90 seconds. He also said that he had a talk with Hamilton and understood the frustrations, pointing out that champions want to win, but that the team must be the priority, which is never easy. And if it's already this hard, imagine what it will be like when Ferrari finally has a car capable of fighting consistently for podiums and victories. The situation could spiral out of control. Hamilton will inevitably face major challenges in adapting to Ferrari's operational style. Perhaps he should have anticipated this before joining the team. The firm, decisive attitudes of Leclerc and Sainz were already well known, and in many cases, it was the drivers themselves who dictated their own race strategy. Just as a reminder, during the sprint race, it was Hamilton who decided on his own to switch to slick tires, a choice that earned him a podium and valuable points in the championship standing. According to Vasseur, there was indeed a follow-up conversation about what happened. Hamilton explained that the outcome could have been much worse. He said, "Fred came to my room. I put my hand on his shoulder and said, 'Man, calm down. Don't take it personally. I could have said much worse things on the radio. You have to understand the pressure we're under in the car. You're never going to hear calm messages in the heat of battle. I still have fire in my blood. I felt it coming strong inside me. I won't apologize for being a competitor. I won't apologize for still wanting to win. I know everyone on the team wants that too. And I truly believe that once we sort out some of the issues we have with the car, we'll be back fighting with Mercedes and the Bulls." It's worth noting how Hamilton carefully chose his words and didn't even mention McLaren. That shouldn't be surprising considering Ferrari started the season far below expectations. The team is still far from becoming a real threat across all areas, and this may lead them to shift focus early toward 2026, when a new set of regulations will take effect. Vasseur has already described this future project as revolutionary for the Italian team. Meanwhile, the team's best position to dominate this final cycle of the current rules are Mercedes, due to their historical supremacy and engine performance, especially when recalling their total dominance in 2014. With all that in mind, what is your view on Ferrari's recent strategic mistakes? And more importantly, do you believe Hamilton will be able to handle all this when the stakes get even higher? Share your thoughts in the comments, and afterward, click the video now appearing on your screen.